Hello friends, good afternoon. Ajay T. Joseph here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So in this small video, I wanted to talk to you on a particular topic, that is Gandhian ideology. Because many a times you hear about Gandhian ideology and you hear Mahatma Gandhi like a religious saint. But at times when you go deep into it, or you understand a different kind of Gandhi. Okay, it's not only from the academic perspective, it's also a reality also. Because many a times in the books, or even in the books in the schools we read, we find Gandhi like a religious saint. But was it the only Gandhi, or was it not? Was it something beyond that? That's what we are going to discuss today. So when it comes to the Gandhian ideology, right, everybody knows about the things like Satya, Ahimsa, and all these things, non-violence and truth. So how did Gandhi shape himself like this? Or was he against violence? Right, when we hear about Gandhi, we say violence is a strict no. So he was against violence. But was he simply against violence, or was there something more than that? So first of all, you have to understand, when it comes to the young Gandhi, he was shaped by his mother, right? And his father was a diwan in a princely state. So he was from a comparatively well-to-do family. So since his mother had many contacts with the Jain monks, and since he was also from Gujarat, where there was a considerable amount of influence of Jainism in Hinduism, the Satya and Ahimsa had actually can be traced back to its Jain origins. But again, once he is outside Gujarat, he has gone to Britain to study law in Inner Society Temple. He came into contact with the Theosophical Society and many Theosophists, and he began to learn about the scriptures in ways, and he was influenced by Bhagavad Gita, no doubt about that. And at the same time, he was influenced by many other foreign authors, like for example Leo Tolstoy. Gandhi himself used to say, like his book called The Kingdom of God is Within Us. He literally used to meditate on that book. So that element of Christianity is also there in the Gandhian philosophy. So this Theosophical Society, as I have mentioned earlier, Theosophical Society was formed. It was actually there in Russia by Colonel H.S. Olcott and Madam H.P. Blavatsky. So this society was mostly an occult kind of society that was more into studying Eastern religious practices and transmigration of souls. So through their books, Gandhi learned more about his homeland, or the tradition and culture, rather than being there in India. So once he came back, you can understand, once he came back and he went to South Africa to practice law, that is where Gandhi became like transformed into a kind of a Mahatma, because there he came into contact with racist prejudices that happened in the Durban and Pietermaritzburg railway station. You will be all knowing about that. And he came into contact with many authors and their books like Unto the Last by John Ruskin. So what is it is saying in that book? John Ruskin's fascination about an old commune life, where people are living in self-sufficient communities, right, without much greed, with very minimal needs, close to the nature. This is the same thing Gandhi had adopted in his ashram life. And his idea of satyagraha was in many a way shaped up by the ideologies of Tolstoy in Kingdom of God is Within Us. So what exactly Tolstoy is saying in the book Kingdom of God is Within Us? You just have to understand the fact that Tolstoy was focusing on a particular verse of Bible. If you go to the book of Luke, chapter 7, verse 21, you can say, like, you search Kingdom of God there and here, but I tell you, Kingdom of God is within us. That's what Jesus Christ is saying. So Tolstoy in a way interpreted in such a way that Kingdom of God is not something that you get in heaven, but when you take away the fear, when you take away the insecurities from you, you will feel heaven right in the earth itself. That is Kingdom of God. So Gandhi also wanted that to happen, that you have to take away the fear of the British rule from the mind of Indians or the oppressed people. Then without hating them, you are hating only the evil tendency in your opponent. In that way, you can make a change of heart in your opponent. So that is what Gandhi had mentioned, or Gandhi had tried through Satyagraha, because through his fasting, through his suffering, he was trying to make a change of heart in his opponent's mind. But what happened? In doing that, he got a lot of support, not only within India, even the intelligentsia outside also. People like Romain Rolland, who used to consider Gandhi like a second Christ. And if you look all throughout the cartoons and the newspapers in 1930s, Gandhi was a very favorite topic for all of them. Even in New York Times also, Gandhi had a lot of admirers. So overall, this positive attitude of Gandhi had shaped in a way to make the opinion of the West and the US in favor of Indian freedom struggles, and this has helped Indian freedom struggle immensely. So this was the ideology of Gandhi. And the second thing I wanted to tell you is regarding his idea on non-violence. So does he mean that by non-violence cowardliness? That's a question. See, you have to understand, like by his own words itself, Gandhi, if given a chance between being coward and being violent, Gandhiji always preferred violence, because he made sure that even when he was making like doing things, like he made sure that he is using like a military terms, like a military commander. So he was not like a kind of a democratic person. He felt that even if we have the ability to be violent, or even if we have the power to be violent, we have to sacrifice it, and through our non-violence you are changing the heart of your opponent. That is what he wanted. That is what he wanted. So just by saying that he hated violence, it doesn't make sense, because for him this non-violence was also a very good strategy, because he knew that Britishers, being a very high military power, it is not practical or not feasible to beat them militarily. Even if imagine you are making a lot of bomb blasts or whatever these things, it will give the government an excuse to like crush the revolution or to crush the movement. And the Indian masses are not at all educated in a way so that a French revolution or an American revolution was able to happen here. So this strategy in a way helped to gain a goodwill among the West and the outside, and it indirectly helped the Indian freedom movement. So this is what I wanted you to emphasize on Gandhian movement. Gandhian movement is not about opposing violence. Gandhian movement is not about being cowardliness, and at the same time he was a very, very shrewd politician also. You have to understand that. He was a very shrewd politician who took very cunning and calculative decisions, and that helped the freedom movement, and that was instrumental in gaining India's independence. Because if you have to say Subhash Chandra Bose, or if you have to see people like Bhagat Singh, yes, they have also all tried, but at the same time the kind of mass appeal that Gandhi had at that point of time, that was lacking among many of his contemporaries. So Gandhi can be compared as like a kind of a sadhu or a Hindu sadhu. You fuse it with some kind of a Chanakya, that is what you get Gandhi. So he was a very shrewd politician. If you ask me who is the best politician India has ever seen, I would undoubtedly say it is Gandhi. So this idea of Gandhiji or Gandhian ideology is somewhat missing in when you read the normal textbooks, or when you see movies like Gandhi, where you only portray him as a religious saint. But this shrewd political mind, shrewd political angle, and his ideology and his background, when you analyze and understand, we find the real Gandhi, and we analyze his character in a more critical manner. So that's all I wanted to say. Stay tuned for more videos. This is a short talk that I wanted to have on the Gandhian ideology. Thank you all. Thank you.